we're gonna shoot the same type of stuff that we did inside, except for now we have a real sun. You can look up in the sky and you can see that this is lightly overcast out here. So we've got some clouds that are sort of coming and going, but not enough to really affect our light. If we look at the ground, we can see that our light is pretty hard at this point. So we have really defined shadows, and that is not gonna be great for a beautiful portrait of Lex. That is not gonna work out. So we're gonna start working with this, and what we're gonna do first is we're going to figure out where we're gonna shoot in relationship to the environment, because we wanna actually make this sort of a nice looking portrait. That'd be cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, and inside we didn't care. We had light stands and we had a cornicello in the background and all kinds of craziness. I'm just gonna call him the cornicello from now on. So is that all right, John? I can just call you the cornicello? Okay. We should make t-shirts. The cornicello arrived. Anyway, so we had him back there. We're gonna try to make this a little bit cleaner. And so to do that, I'm gonna shoot with a wide open aperture as much as I possibly can and see how that works. We're gonna start by just looking with our eyeballs at what we have to work with. So looking right now, we see that the sun is basically directly behind me. And if I wanna work with Lex, I can see that I can get some really nice highlights on her hair, similar to what we did inside. We have a medical helicopter about to land, and that's gonna be awesome. So ignore the noise, it's just a helicopter landing across the street, no big deal. So we have this light that's gonna be behind her, and by positioning her in this way, we do have nice soft light on her face. And so we'll start there and see how things go. John, you know what I forgot is the light meter. Can you run in and get that? Yeah, I forgot the light meter because we scrambled out here so fast. So we're gonna try to do this without a light meter to start with, doing the same basic things that we did inside, and we'll see how things work. So I have my camera set to aperture priority mode, and I'm shooting at an ISO of 100 because we're outside in very bright light, and I'm keeping my aperture value to about 4.5. We went nice shallow depth of field because the background here, it's sort of a construction zone, so we want to see if we can have that fall out. And we're going to see what we start with here. So I'm just going to take a nice portrait, and we're going to do this maybe, let's have you back up just a little bit, Lex, maybe about 3 feet. There we go. And all I'm doing right now is seeing what we can do with the background. And on these shots, when we look at this, this is just not great light. It's just too contrasty. You can see that the background is really, really bright. We haven't shaped any light at all. It looks like a snapshot. And the thing that we talked about earlier about the black, we can see that her black outfit just looks like a squarish blob, which is no good. So we have to be able to figure out how to do some form. So for this, shooting into the light, this is the absolute wrong time of day. So by looking at this, I can see that we can try to add reflectors, we can do a bunch of things, but shooting in this direction because the sun is so high in the sky and it's so bright, I just don't believe this is gonna work out at all shooting in this direction. Now, one of the reasons I say that is concrete is highly reflective. And so we've just got light coming in from all over the place, and because it's so reflective behind her, it's gonna be hard to get anything that looks decent. So what I'll do here is, I think on this scenario right here, we're going to abandon a full-length shot because I'm not getting the look that I want. And so to sort of clean up this look here a little bit, we're gonna try to zoom in a little bit. We're gonna narrow our angle of view, try to clean up the background a little bit. And I'm gonna shoot a little bit more into these windows over here. And again, we're going to see how this works. Now look very closely. We can see, Lex, I'm gonna have your face turned this way just a little bit. When she does this, notice we have all of these highlights on her face on this side. If you turn your head just a little bit that way, keep going. Now they all disappear. So I can use that to my advantage. Let's have you bring your head back this way just a little bit. Perfect. And what this is doing, tomorrow we're gonna learn about tall and short lighting. This is actually tall lighting where the narrow side of her face is illuminated and the large side of her face toward the camera, not that you have a large side, is in shadow. And so we'll start with this. This is natural tall lighting. And then once we have that, what we're gonna try to do is start working with different types of light. So John, let me see that, the gray. We're gonna meter this light again. So to do this, my ISO is at 100, thanks. ISO 4.5, and I'm gonna meter under the chin to where my camera's gonna be. That tells me my shutter speed should be 200. I'll set my camera's shutter speed to 200. So we'll do that really fast. 200, 4.5. Awesome. I love the cars around here. All right, so let me just take a shot here with this new exposure dialed in. All right, now what we can see from this shot, again, we're not really shaping the light, so that's what we need to be able to do here. We see this light is sort of flat. We're not getting any specular highlights on our eyes. It just looks like a sort of a dead shot. So let's see if we can shape this. Are you ready to do this? Hey-ya-ya! Whoa, my gosh. I just knocked my eyes out with this bright reflector. We're gonna try white to start with. This was so bright. Let me see if I can show you how bright this is. Well, you can't see it from there, but it's super, super bright. So by adding that, it's gonna really hurt her. So come on over this way. And I want you to hold this pretty darn close like that. Okay, this is just gonna fill some of this light, come out this way, about like that. All right, I'm gonna meter this again very, very quickly. Now we're shooting at 500, so we just doubled the amount of light that is falling on Lex. We just doubled that. There we go, perfect. And then bring your other arm up so it's, there you go, just like that. Excellent. All right, so this is cool. The thing I don't like about this is the color temperature isn't terrific. The color temperature out here, this looks very, very white and non-pleasing. So if I go into my Lightroom here, and we can look, we have some specular highlights. I'll go into the develop module. One of the things I'd like to do, we can see that our color temp that the camera is catching is 4800. I'm guessing that the color temperature out here is much, much higher than 4800 because we have this overcast day. So what I'm gonna do, instead of using white balance, the auto white balance, I'm gonna use my built-in white balance and set this to cloudy day. Cloudy day. We'll get back over there, do that again, bring this in, there you go, just like that. And so this, hopefully, perfect. That warms that up just a little bit. And you can see this instantly when we bring this in. This is a much warmer photo. So before, lots of blue, a lot warmer. And so we're fixing some of that color. We can also go in here into Lightroom and we can increase the vibrance a bit. That's too much there. So we can do some things. We also can come in and work with the black values as well. But by doing this, we're helping ourselves out. Now the other thing I noticed is on this background, this concrete, as the concrete truck passes us, the concrete is just so reflective, it's just not working out for us great. So what we're gonna do, Lex, is we're gonna have you move closer to this window over here. I'm gonna have you move out over here. And this window, by the way, is reflective, so it's gonna reflect light. And John, I'm gonna have you come over and use the light meter for me for a second. So Lex, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have you back up about a foot or so, just like that. Then let's have you come over here. And what I'm seeing now, we're just making this up as we go, is we have some color behind Lex now, behind this. And on this side of her face, we're seeing lots of shadows. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring this over, bring that way up here, like that, bring it just like that. Perfect. And then right underneath that, it's 1250. Okay. Right. So we're getting close to what I want here, but what we need to do is we need to add some diffusion. So 1245 is what you said?
1250 at 4.5.
1250 at 4.5. So, and then tell me what it is at 2.8. Is it 2500?
Yep, 2.8 is 3200.
It's 3200, okay. 3200.
Between 25 and 32.
All right, let's have you step out just a little bit more. So what I'm trying to do with this shot that we just did, the background needs to be more out of focus. So we're gonna bring her closer, bring this up. And then John, can you get the sun swatter for me?
Yeah. 3200, 2.8.
Okay. We're getting close. There's like a whole thing of trucks going by. We're getting close, but the problem is with this light over here, it's just too much. So what I want you to do, so hold on that. We're gonna add some diffusion to this. There you go. Let's just throw her into some, there you go. Ah, so much nicer. Bring this in.
So I can go higher with it too.
I don't think it needs to go higher. There you go. There you go. Okay. So now I'm gonna have to go up just a hair. I need a longer lens, but this will work for now. Let's see, we're softening that. Oh, and I need to meter the light, sorry. Gotta meter the light. Gotta meter the light, really.
Probably lost 2 stops.
Yeah, so now we're at 1,000. Now we're at 1,000. There we go. So much better. What we're not getting here though is we're not getting any specular highlight. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip this around. And I want silver. So I wanna see silver in her face. There you go. And we're gonna bring this around this way. There you go. Look straight at me. There you go. Excellent. Excellent. See if we can get some specular highlights in there. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, let's review really fast what we just did. So John, you can put that down for a second. I want to show you the progression because right now all we're doing is we're trying to figure out where the light is. And you can see that we're dialing it in. So we went from nasty, snapshotty, whatever. So that's no good. We decided we needed to get closer. We didn't like this hard light. We added a reflector. It was too white. We warmed things up. That helped out. Then we decided let's put something behind her that's a little bit more colorful, that orange there. The light was too hard. We weren't really seeing what we wanted to see. That I forgot to meter. This we got nice soft light that's really cool, but our eyes were going dark. We had no catch lights. Then we added the silver, and so now we're starting to see catch lights in her eyes, which is sort of where we want to be. So we're starting to see that. We can also see that this exposure here could even be overexposed just a bit to make that look a little bit better. But we're now starting to see a portrait that could work a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna work with this a little bit more. The other thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna try to add some highlights to her hair if possible. And I don't know if we can do that here in the space that we have, but we'll try. And the other thing that we'll need to do is maybe we'll get a different lens here in a second because I might want to have a longer lens or a larger aperture value. So let's set our lights the same as we had them. Yeah, I'm going to use this.
I could try to come
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, or we can do this. So come forward just a hair. And then what I want you to do, could you hold this? I'm going to steal this from you. What we can do is we can take this guy over here and we can use it to get on the hair if possible, sort of feathering that. So we might try that. But we shot with silver first, or we shot with silver in her eyes, is that right? Okay, so let's try John's idea first. So let's come over here, get that as close as you can to Lex, and then make sure it's up. There you go. And then we're also gonna have to have this straight like that. There you go. It's the wind, it's always crazy.
Right.
Do you need another person? Can we have one more, can you come help? Yes. If we can just grab the other side of that to keep it from flopping around. There we go. Nice. Okay, so now let me meter this. And then John, if you can sort of try to, yeah, so what John's doing is he's moving forward a bit to let some of that like peek out and get that. So now we'll meter this again, 1250. Okay. So we're gonna just shoot this at 1250. And I'm gonna shoot this in a couple of different ways. I'm gonna overexpose this on purpose here in a second. And I would normally shoot with a much longer lens. So that's 1250. Then I'm gonna overexpose this by shooting at about 800th of a second. We're gonna take a look at those two things. All right, you guys can take a break. Thank you. So in this situation, I think the answer that we're gonna need to go to is to use the sun swatter to give us really nice soft light, because trying to add some different things in this scenario, it just isn't giving me the photos that I really want. When we look at this, you can really see that her eyes are not where I want those to be, not at all. They're just underexposed. There's not enough punch going in those eyes. And I'm gonna see if I can really, so can you put that up again? I'm just gonna see if I can really, when we last left you, we were shooting over here, and what we decided was this is not very good light for us to do much work over here because this concrete is so highly reflective. When we shoot a full-length shot, it's just looking nasty. So what I did is I decided I would use this as the background back here, The problem was I was shooting with a 24 to 70 millimeter lens, and so for me to fill the frame with that background wasn't looking so good. And so what I really need to do is use a longer lens. So I'm going to borrow my long lens here. We're going to swip this out. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to use my 70 to 200 instead of my 24 to 70, and I'm going to have you hold that for a second. And we're going to swap this out. So essentially what I'm going to be able to do is compress this image. And so if you'll hold that for me, I'll grab this, and then we put that lens cap on there. This lens, by the way, I'm addicted to it. It's what I use for almost everything. And then we'll have you hold that. Thank you very much. And the lens cap, who knows where it is. All right, so now we're gonna try shooting again, similar setup. So John has her in shade. Let's go ahead and add this bounce, the same type of bounce that we had before. But this time, I'm going to shoot a little bit farther back, and then everybody shift to the left about a foot. A little bit more, Lex, this way. Okay, perfect. Yeah, hold that right there. Now, we'll shoot these shots. And one of the things that I've learned over shooting outside is never trust the images on the back of your screen, because the brightness outside, you'll think it's underexposed, it's not very good. And then when you get it on your computer, you get inside and it's really dark, everything's overexposed. So what I do when I'm shooting outside is I'll turn my histogram on to sort of see where my exposure is if I'm just a little bit squeamish of what the camera is doing. So right now I think things are good, but let's take a look at what happened when we moved that long lens. So we went from an image that had, and can I let you hold this for a second? Thank you. So we went from an image that was a little bit distorted back here to this, and you can see with the longer lens I was able to get much more of that background in, and it looks a little bit closer without having to get a larger background. So that helps us a lot. We're still not getting the specular highlights that I want in the eyes, and so we're gonna have to work a little bit on the silver reflector to try to get that a little bit of light bouncing into her eyes. So we'll try that again. Okay, so for this, notice the sun is coming this way, so you're gonna have to get over on this side. There you go, like that. Yes, and now, and just for time's sake, what I did is and I need to get back a little bit, I've switched over to aperture priority mode. Tell me some things. Okay, so now let's take a look at these specular highlights and see what we get. And with a situation like this, I'll only spend so much time. Yeah, we're getting a little bit of those specular highlights now, just not as much as I want. With a shot like this, what we could do is we could like work forever and just never get the shot that we wanted because we shot at the wrong time of day. Or, if you hold this, what we could do is we can shift to a better light. And so let me show you what's over here. I don't know if you guys can follow, but we have a much better lighting situation on this side. So over here, what we have is we have the open shade. And I'll grab that from you. Cool. Yeah, so now we have open shade. And what open shade is gonna do for us is we can have Lex here, and we have all this bright light out here that you can't see, and we can start working in this shaded area, and it's gonna be a much, much easier environment to work in, because we're not gonna have to have that big sun swatter and a bunch of things like that to contend with. And so we'll work with there. Now I'm seeing this on a calibrated monitor, and the shots that I thought weren't so good look so much better on this screen. And so the color temperature looks like it's off a little bit, but never trust the back of your camera in the field because it's always gonna lie to you. And so trust that histogram to make sure things are right. Okay, so Lex, we're gonna bring you over here. And first let's just work with the open shade and not use any modifiers. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have you back, there you go. And so here, what I'll do is I'm gonna try to bring her forward and back based on all this concrete here reflecting this light in. And so I want to bring her as close as possible to the edge. There you go, back just, there you go, yeah, good. Just like that. And also, let's see that silver reflector. Because of where she is, now what we can do is we can bring some light from the sun coming over here. We can bring that over here like this. And when we get this really close, We're gonna get some nice specular highlights. And then if we need to, we can always go with silver, which is just gonna get us back into the hard light situation that we just abandoned. So we don't wanna do that. We wanna try to use this white side over here and get this really nice and close. And if we wanna do some full length shots, we have a huge white reflector that we might use. So let's start there. So go ahead and put this white reflector up right here. I win. And we will start with this. So I'm gonna meter this light, see what our light meter says. And our light meter is telling me 1250 at 2.8 at ISO 100. So we'll make sure that we do that. And I need to change my mode and come back. I'm gonna meter this one more time because I think I had, there we go. Yeah, 1,000, there we go. So we're shooting at 1,000 at 2.8. And then I'm looking in the background here. There we go. Beautiful. All right, we had people in the background, but we're gonna get rid of those people. All right, now let's take a look. Just this shot right out of the box, open shade with this reflector. Let's go and take a look at what the camera is telling us. So can you hold that for a second?
Got it.
Okay, thank you. So this is so much more pleasing than the shots that we started with because we've got a background that's really nice. One of the issues is the background is underexposed a bit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to overexpose just a hair and see where we are. We see we have a little bit of room on the histogram here, a little bit brighter. And so we're consistently getting underexposed images outside. And so it's one of those situations where I would need to calibrate my meter to my lens because it looks like we're about a third stop over and over. But I'm liking what I'm seeing in the highlights and in this image. It's much more, it's much cleaner. It's much cleaner. And then also, let's bring the entire thing over. And then what we're gonna have you guys do is we're gonna add a hair light to this. Okay. So I'm gonna check out and see what the background wants. All right, wants about the same thing. So let's use the white reflector on this. No, this California Sunbounce white reflector. Yeah, bring it in really close, really close. Just like that. Okay, now I'm gonna have you hold this camera for a second and I'm gonna show you what I want you to do with this reflector. So what we want, we want to get some highlights to the back of her hair. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna put this guy up and we're gonna find where that light is. It might need to be back here. And we're gonna bounce that into her hair if I can find it. So John, why don't you go forward just a little smidgen. There we go. And that's what we want. Yeah, we want to have that just like that, okay? Make sure you don't get it on her face, just her hair. All right?
Yes, sir.
You can do it. Got it? Yep. All right. And we're shaping the light with these reflectors. Freezing? Yeah. So on that, make sure you, watch the light on the ground. There you go. See it's on the wall there? There we go, okay. Now, we're gonna try to, so Lexa, we're gonna have you step this way because we've got a telephone pole coming through your head. There we go, so both of you guys move in. And John, we want you to move as close as possible. There you go. There you go. Move this guy in right there. Okay, we're gonna see if we can get that light on her hair. There it goes. Beautiful. Nice smilage. We'll shoot a couple of these guys here. And this is telling me I'm underexposed pretty significantly, so I'll bump my exposure up. There we go. And I'm gonna meter this because our exposure is all over the place, which happens a lot out here. So let's meter this guy. 640 at 2.8 is what we're getting. Now we're shooting at 250, so that's gotta be totally overexposed. So what happened there is when I was metering with my through the lens metering, some of the reflectors hit the lens and it threw off that metering, and so we were off just a hair. It's always fun when you're doing live TV, right? It's always good. Perfect. Perfect. That's what we want. Okay. We're gonna go take a look at these and see how we're doing. Because again, I can't really judge anything based on the back of this camera. It looks like we're consistently getting an underexposed image though, so we'll take a look. We will take a look. And then do we have our questions coming in out here? Okay. So yeah, now we're seeing this direction of light, which is really nice. The color temperature is needs to be set, so we'll do that. We'll get a color checker passport out here and do that as well. And so, because this is just way, way, way too warm, I can actually go in and use her teeth to sort of, oh, it's too blue. So yeah, we need to be able to calibrate that because it's way off right now. I can even go in here and just say, this is a, let's see, a daylight. Yes, that's all right. Daylight. Yes, that's all right.
One of the guys asked, wondering about, would you use your color checker out here in this kind of environment? And did you?
So no, we need to get the color checker because what I'm seeing is we have inconsistent white balance issues, and so that's what we just started talking about.
Great.
When the U.S. Postal Service came and made our day.
They do that.
Yeah.
Okay, would you like to take another question?
Yeah.
All right, so another great question from Fashion TV from Singapore. While using reflectors, do we still need to feather the reflected light, and how do we feather a reflector? Any practical tips for outdoors?
Yeah, you can feather a reflector. And I don't know if we can, it's very difficult to see with your bare eyes, so on video we may or may not be able to see it.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll try to show it, and then if you can't see it clearly here, tomorrow when we do some more in the studio fake sun,
okay,
we'll show it again. But yeah, it depends on the kind of reflector. So a silver reflector is so specular, there's not much feathering that's going to happen there. It's going to be either on or off. It's with the white reflector that you can work with that to do a little bit more feathering. And what feathering is, it's instead of having all of the reflection on, it's just like the edge of the reflection. And so that's why the silver doesn't work so well, because there really isn't an edge, it's just there.
Right.
Cool. And one last one from Know How Hungry. When is it best to have the dazzle in or out on the light meter, especially when working?
The dazzle, the lumisphere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was it called a dazzle
The
or
dazzle,
Lumisphere.
the bezel, the thingy, the white globy thingy. This. Yes. The
What's the
dazzle.
technical term for that?
Lumisphere.
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 Lumisphere. The dazzle. I like that. It's bedazzled.
It's bedazzled.
I like how we learn something new every day here at Creative Live.
The dazzle. Maybe it's called the dazzle. I don't know, but no, I do know. It's called a lumisphere. It's not called a dazzle. Yeah, okay, so if we look at this, you can see that as we shift this, you're seeing 180 degrees or 360 degrees of light on this. And so when it's up, what this is doing, when I'm metering the light, it's gonna get the light from the sun, it's going to get the light from the concrete, it's gonna get the light from the reflector, it's gonna get light from every source. So that's what that's doing, and that's really what we want, because the light that's falling on our subject is coming from all of those different sources of light. It's getting late in the day. If you're shooting something and you really only care about the light that's hitting it directly, and this is good for metering light ratios, which I think we'll be doing in a couple days, or if you're metering for something specific like a piece of art or something where it's only seeing light that is directly hitting it, then you put the lumisphere down. So 90% of the time, lumisphere up. In fact, if you don't know, always lumisphere up. Only if you're metering specific light sources, metering ratios and things like that, is this ever down, so up.
Cool.
Okay, good to
The
know.
dazzle should be up.
Dazzle up.
I want somebody to tweet that. See how many tweeters we can get out there saying, the dazzle should be up. Saying, the dazzle should be up. Lex, let's have you come over here just for a second. I want to show one of the issues that we could be running into. So if you're on this side, when we're metering the light, I mentioned earlier in the studio that we meter under the chin, but you can see here that we have this really specular highlight on this. And so sometimes that can actually throw off this meter reading, which is, I think, could be why we're underexposing consistently, because this is thinking we have more light than possible. So we'll have to investigate that. So I think that is what is causing us to have some of these issues with our exposure being a little bit wacky. And that's where the histogram can really help out as well. So as much as I love light meters, some people say, oh, you should only use the histogram. And some people are like, oh, you should only use a light meter. I use both. So whatever tool works best. We're gonna keep lighting. Ready?
Ready.
We only have a half an hour to get this amazing shot. So we're gonna have you come back over here. And wow, I'm blind now. That silver is really, really bright. So, yeah, thanks. So one of the things, yeah. Okay, one of the things that we're gonna have you do is we're gonna try to get you as close as possible to this. And then this guy here, yep, there you go. Back a little bit, there you go. This guy here, what we're gonna try to do is we're gonna try to feather this, what somebody said, so I'm gonna take this from you. And even though this is this direction, we're still getting some bounce into your outfit and your face. So we're gonna try to bring this as close as possible, just like that. And then let's get this silver over here. I'm gonna bring it over. And, because you don't need to see me. I'm just doing this for revenge. So this here, what we might need to do is throw some light on the alley behind you. So if we want to brighten up that alley behind or the street behind, we might do that. So see how I'm lighting the bricks and stuff? So we can do that as well to sort of, to give some punch to the scene, All right, so back to this shot, we're gonna try to rebuild. And what I'm doing now is I'm trying to make this a little bit more aesthetically pleasing than what we had. And so I'm looking through my lens to see what kind of background we can work with. And I like the greens back there. And can you throw some light on that green overhang? There you go, yeah. That, perfect. That's a little underexposed, there we go. Awesome. Okay, let's take a look at a few of these pictures. And for these, we are definitely getting some issues. Oh, the color checker's right here. We're gonna have you do this as well. Cool. For this, what's happening is, again, we've got that TTL metering issue where it's trying to average this massive amount of dark coat, and it's thinking that should be gray, but since it's not, it's actually overexposing anything. So again, big dark coat is giving us hassles, problems. I love shooting black. So the TTL metering is stupid, so we need to use our light meter and trust that. So let me just trust it. 5.8 at 400, okay. So it says an aperture value, 2.8 at 500 of a second. And then we are going to do this guy here. There we go. If you put that up next to your face. And I'm just gonna get this shot so we have a white balance. Good. We get one more shot here. There we go. We can fix that. And we can use that white balance, we can apply it to all kinds of things. All right, now let's continue working with this. So again, that light on the background there. This we're gonna bring in just a little bit more. And Lex, you're gonna have to step, actually that's good. About right there. About right there. My meter said 500. Let's see if my meter is correct. My in the camera meter right now is telling me I'm 2/3 of a stop underexposed, and my light meter says I'm exposed correctly. So let's see which one of these guys is actually right. All right, so we have that shot. I went with my light meter. It's coming into the screen here. Let's take a look at the histogram, and the light meter wins again. So the light meter is consistently correct. And so that's what we want to do. We can see that the histogram shows that we don't have anything overexposed, nothing under. I don't necessarily like this color, but we have a color calibration that we can add to this. So what we can do is go in here, take this first shot that I fixed, take the second shot, and then I can say sync settings. And we can do all of this in post. So again, if we didn't have the luxury of post-production, we would need to fix that later. So now we have a much warmer image. So the other thing I need to do is fix this background. I don't really like it. I want to get something better. So what I'll have you do, Lex, is let's have you go back about a foot right there. Yeah. The problem here that we're getting into, the farther I put her in, see what's happening to this reflector here? Now we're not getting the light that we want, so we're gonna have to bring you out again. We'll use that. And we might abandon this altogether. We've got some other tricks up our sleeve that we can use. So what I'll do here is I am going to shoot this very, very close. Nice portrait. Perfect. Hold that right there. And we don't need the, yeah, so this, if you can throw it on the wall back there. Yeah. There you go. Perfect. We want a nice clean background. And that's what we're getting here. Nice, clean. That's good. That's good. So that's what we're doing here is we're cleaning this up. All right, you guys look like you have questions. Do you have questions at all? Does this look like controlled chaos? You have questions?
We're good.
Oh, you're good? Okay. All right, so we're looking at this. The other thing that, and I'll show you this. See this area right here, these windows? That's where we want that light to go in. Because the difference in luminosity between Lex and the background, we're just not getting enough punch back there. So we're gonna see if you can get to those bricks back there. It's sort of the door, there you go. You gotta make sure you don't hit, there you go. Don't hit the Lex. Don't hit the Lex. That also should be a t-shirt. Don't hit the Lex. All right, beautiful, just like that. That, I love it.